Oh, yeah. Sure, young people die in droves.
Well, they're training and all that stuff. I mean, hey, what the heck if you got 500,000 people together like that, there's going to be accidents. But excuse me, I just don't, I just don't think this is right for this woman to say, okay, I'm going to take the money and run, and okay, we got to really look at it. What if everybody did this? What if?
Well, that's the third time I'll give you the same answer. Wouldn't it be great?
What kind of country would we have? I mean, I'm proud of the United States, and I love this.
Well, we'd be the kind of country that didn't have upwards of 500,000 people facing death.
Well, maybe it's not, but okay, you think, I've been listening to you for the last couple of months here, and you seem to be sticking up for Saddam Hussein.
No, I don't seem to be sticking up for Saddam Hussein at all.
One thing about this rotten guy that went to Kuwait and raped all these people, raped this, raped that. I mean, they're eating animals in the zoo.
Eating animals in the zoo? Are you serious? Eating animals in the zoo?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a different story. Eating animals in the zoo?
Well, in Kuwait,
Are they eating the elephants?
I don't know what they're eating.
Speed, stand, they're eating the elephants. How about the ostriches? And the zebras?
Well,
are they eating the zebras too?
Yeah.
The cute little zebras? Oh, that foul, vile pig.
Well, they are. To tell the truth, they are. They're just animals, as far as I'm concerned.
They're just animals.
Well, that's what I heard on the news anyway. They eat animals in the zoo,
God, it must be a big zoo.
And this guy, they don't know what's going on. They're just looking at it,
Yeah, not like you.
Okay, you put yourself...
Sharp guy like you.
Huh?
They're not sharp guys like you.
What do you mean like me?
Just what I said. You said they don't know what's going on, and I agree with you. They're not sharp guys like you.
Well, I know what's going on a little bit more than those guys, I would think.
Sure.
Well, you got to be proud of your country, for crumb's sake. Jesus, I can't see this knocking the United States and President Bush all the time like this. What the heck, Well, anyway, that's all I got to say, I'm just sticking up for my country, and I think...
And the animals in the zoo.
Huh?
And the animals in the zoo.
Well, they are eating the animals. That's what I heard, anyway. I read that in the paper anyway. They're in bad shape, but...
Well, you'd think all the animal rights people would be behind you.
Well, the animal rights people, of course not. I mean, they wouldn't dare criticize Saddam Hussein. They never criticized the Soviet Union for anything they did when they, I mean, that's just typical liberal politics, They'll criticize their own country before they'll criticize any other country, That's just the way it works, I mean.
Well, thanks ever so much. Off it is to Oklahoma. Hi there, Okie. You're on the air, WLS.
Hello?
Yeah, hi.
How you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Hey, I just tuned you in. I'm going down the road here. I'm a truck driver, but I think the lady that's 17 and she joined the reserves to get the benefits. If you do something, you got to pay the consequences. I think she was old enough, And when did she wait to back out? Right until she had to go, Why didn't she, if she didn't like it, why didn't she back out earlier?
Well, I guess there wasn't anything to object to. If there wasn't any kind of...
Oh, no, I mean, heck, if you want to do something, and down the line, there's a risk involved.
Did you ever change your mind?
Oh, I changed my mind, but,
I
got to
live mind.
I got to live with what I do,
You don't have to live with what you did as a child. You don't have to live with any contracts that you entered into when you were a child.
Oh, sure you do.
Like what? What contract do you have to live up to that you entered into when you were under 18?
When I was 17? Well, I didn't really enter into no contract.
Yeah, I know. Nobody would take one from you.
What's that?
No one would let you enter into one. No one would take a contract from you when you were 17.
Oh, not unless you're...
You know why?
With you.
You know why they wouldn't let you enter into a contract when you were 17? Because you weren't old enough, you weren't mature enough, you weren't intelligent enough, you weren't experienced enough to know what you were doing.
No, now, if your parents enter with you, that's all legal and binding. But, I got a brother in Salt Lake City.
No, it's not legal and binding. It's legal and binding on them if you're talking about a commercial contract, not on you.
Yeah, sure it's legal and binding on you.
No, it isn't.
How old is the woman now?
23.
23.
Yeah.
If she didn't like it, why didn't she get out a year ago?
Well, maybe she didn't change her mind until recently.
No, not until the risk came about.
So let me see if I had this right. Had she decided to claimed conscientious objector status a year ago, that would have been okay with you.
No, that wouldn't have been
then it isn't really a question of when she did it. That was just something you were kind of throwing in there for the fun of it.
No, that's what I'm trying to make a point.
No, well, it's got to be, one of them has to be yes.
I'm trying to make a point here.
Either it makes a difference when she changed her mind or it doesn't make a difference.
Hello?
Yeah.
The point is that she didn't have no objections until the time came for her to do her duty.
I don't know whether she had any objections.
That she signed up for.
I don't know whether or not she had any objections. What I do know is that she didn't file those objections until recently.
Yeah, until the very last minute, until she had to go.
So it would have been okay with you then if she decided to become a conscientious objector a year ago.
I'm trying to make the point is that she wanted all the benefits with nothing for her to lose. She knew the risk.
I beg your pardon, sir. She gave 6 years of her life.
Yeah, she gave 6 years of her life.
Yeah, well, she lost 6 years of her life.
She's getting well compensated for that, am I right?
Well compensated? I don't think it's well compensated.
Well, how much money does she get for college? $15,000, $20,000?
No, sir, nowhere near that amount.
Well, that's okay. Army Reserve, what do you get? 9,000, 10,000?
No, sir. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, her amount was a little bit closer to around 3,000.
No. Well, I know that's not. I don't think that would be right because I'm only 24 years old. Okay. I drive a truck. That's what I chose to do. My brother's been in the military for a long time. He's a recruiter. He joined at 17. He likes it. From what I understand, when I visit him, he goes out and he tries to recruit people where we go to dinner or something. If they're interested, he'll talk to them.
Uh-huh.
But
what kind of stuff does he tell them, by the way? What they can get?
What's that?
What kind of stuff does he tell those people he's trying to recruit? What they can get?
He tells them what's open to them. He says,
yeah, we'll give you a college education. Yeah, we'll give you a great career.
He says if you're interested, the Army's got this plan. You can get this much money if you serve this much time.
Uh-huh.
If you do this.
In other words, he tries to bribe people into joining.
I don't think it's a bribe. I think it's a
Sure, it's a bribe, sir.
No, it's not a bribe. So would you consider that you got bribed into your job?
No, sir.
Because they told you they'd give you this much money if you do this?
No, sir, but I'm not likely to lose my life or have to take anybody else's in this job.
Well, I think she made the decision. If she thought it was wrong, she should have spoke up before.
Well, okay, sir, I'm going to level with you. Yes, I did get bribed into this job. I got bribed into this job, absolutely. I work 3 hours a day. I earn something in the neighborhood of 40 or 50 times what, maybe even 100 times, what somebody like Stephanie Atkinson would earn in a given year. And, of course, I have utterly no risk whatsoever.
Yeah, but you made that choice. She made the choice.
Right, I made the choice.
And if she wanted to object to it, I think she would have had a better leg to stand on if she did it before this came about. Because she did it now.
Although you tell me it wouldn't make any difference to you.
Excuse me?
Although you tell me it wouldn't make any difference to you. You'd be no more inclined to go along with her no matter when she made the decision.
Well, I'd be more inclined to go along with her, yeah. But if she made it before. But just wanting to get out and take the benefits before she does the job, no.
Well, she's already done her job, sir.
Excuse me?
She's already done her job. She's completed more than 6 years active duty. That's what she signed up for. And she did it.
If she's done her job and lived up to the obligation, why isn't she out?
No, she is out, sir. They let her out today.
Oh. But did she get out because she griped, or did she get out because that her time was up?
No, she got out because they didn't want to continue with it any further. They didn't want to go through the court-martial, nor did they wish to go through the conscientious objector hearings.
Well, if it was me personally, if I was in charge of it, I would have made her stay in, because you sign up for the contract, you're liable for it. And just to get out. And what happens if all the people in the military that are there of their own free will right now decides, man, we're going to war with Saudi Arabia or Iran?
Well, what would happen if all the people in the military said, no, I'm not going to go?
Yeah, we're not going.
Do you really know what would happen?
Yeah.
All the blowhards that sit at home and say how much they love the fight would have to go. That's what would happen. 5918900, the Saturday Night Special with me, the lovable Lassiter.
WLN Talk Radio 890.
So the president's drug advisors want...
This is a person who called up during the commercial break and went on hold. And then hung up before he got on. Offered this to Merlin. Merlin, you're on the air at WLN.
Hello.
Yes, hi.
Hi, yeah, I'm calling from sort of near Washington, D.C. here.
Mm-hmm.
Was listening to you coming back from Ocean City. But anyway.
New Jersey or Maryland?
Pardon me?
New Jersey or Maryland?
Maryland.
Oh, okay.
Teachers Convention. Anyway, I was calling because, two things. The black-white question is very interesting. I teach in a predominantly black school, and I was just taking some notes here about, thinking about, how would I feel? And I'm sure there'd be, confusion, unsure, maybe some resentment. But I think I'd try to make the best of it. Although, it's sheer speculation. Who knows? I'd kind of think that I'd want to be open-minded about it. But I think a lot of people would want to say that. Who knows? Kind of reminds me of the Franz Kafka story, Metamorphosis, where the guy turns into a cockroach. Interesting comparison. It's a tough question. Do you ever remember the book came out about 25, 30 years ago called Black Like Me?
Only vaguely I'm aware of it. I'd never read it, and...
I read it when I was about 10.
I believe there was even a motion picture with Godfrey Cambridge, if memory serves me.
That I couldn't tell you. But that posed an interesting, scenario, and it's like, I don't know how I'd react. It's tough to be completely honest about it because you just don't know. It's like, well, how would you react if you were a woman? It'd be definitely interesting. Lastly, just to touch on this poor 17-year-old, it seems to me that I saw a story in the Washington Post that a U.S. Marine who was a Lance Corporal did the same thing.
Trying to do
California.
the same thing. Hawaii.
Well,
it's trying to do the same thing. He's still in the proceedings.
Oh, okay. And, so it's the guy who was arguing the woman business, I think, is, barking up the wrong tree. He was getting me annoyed.
Or sipping with the wrong straw.
Or something. Because, you talk about 17-year-olds, and my brother went in when he was 17. He got my mom to sign him up because he said he needed the discipline, and I talked to him about it before he went in and just after, and he said he did understand the risks involved.
Sure, as well as a 17-year-old is capable of.
Yeah, because I think back when I was 17, I was thinking, because at the time the draft was still around, and they ended it just before I turned 18, which made a lot of my classmates jealous because I missed it and they didn't. The whole thing about, what are you going to do? And I was set to go to the Naval Academy, or thought I was, and a friend of mine said, well, do you really feel that you would be able to support an institution whose sole purpose is to kill other people? Well, that put a big pause in my life right there, and I've never been able to get over that argument, no matter how many recruiters I talk to, as I've gotten older. And now I say, when I was 17, I was real gung-ho and ready to go out and do that, kill, kill, kill. But I'm currently reading a book on 1914 in the First World War, and the same kind of feelings that it's accounts of soldiers as they remembered, and diary accounts of being 17, 18, or some of them 16. The flower of the youth in their prime, going off to fight and doing what they're told, and talking about how ridiculous the orders were. So the guy who came on and said about, look at Vietnam. Vietnam wasn't the only war that we fought with 17-year-olds. World War II, Korea, World War I, the Civil War, Spanish-American War, the Revolution, to name a few. And you could go back to 1066 and probably find a few there. So the idea of the 17-year-olds have always been the victim of this, of the 40-year-olds, the 50-year-old decision makers who say, we want the land, let's get a bunch of young people and go and fight.
Thank you very much. 5918900 off it is to Champaign. Hi there, Champ. You're on the air, WLS.
It doesn't matter.
Love when we break into the middle of conversations.
Wait.
But then I still wonder.
Wait. So you're telling me that I can't be sexually active? That is ridiculous.
Oh, my God.
I'm not putting any words in your mouth. You just told me.
Anything you want.
You just...
Your life,
Ooh.
whatever you want.
Better move over close to the button.
I don't think it's bad. You just do it.
Well, then you do it.
And you do it with your wife.
Excuse me. I should not know the woman I'm... Wait, will you not interrupt me, please? You're telling me that...
Shut up, lady.
You're telling me that I should not know the woman whom I'm going to marry. Is that what you're saying to me? How can I... Excuse me. No. Well, I need... So what if I don't have premarital sex, you know what's going to happen? I could die and I might not have sex. You know what that's... Hello?
Yes.
Oh. Am I on?
Why don't they want you to have sex?
Excuse me?
Why don't they want you to have sex?
Oh, excuse me. Well, I didn't actually call to talk about sex, but...
Oh.
Excuse me.
Sounded like a much more interesting conversation going on at your house than over here at my place. But.
Oh, well, actually, I wanted to add a few things if I could.
Sure.
First of all, as far as the war goes, I'm in accordance with you on quite a few things. Because there's one thing that I'm still a little bit iffy about, but this isn't something you said. It's about something George Bush said. He was talking about appeasement during World War II, you know, how Germany invaded Poland and the world just sat back because they thought it wasn't going to affect them. What if this truly does affect it?
Well, it sat back because there wasn't a damn thing they could do about it.
Right. Well, that's true, but still England wanted to protect. They didn't want to get into another war, neither did France. You know, I certainly don't want to get into war. I'm not, war-monger and hungry for it, but I'm nervous and scared that we don't know what these people might possibly be able to do.
Sure we do.
Well, why do you say that?
Because he is not an industrialized nation. He is incapable of operating much beyond his own borders.
But he's a very intelligent man. We both know.
So?
But at the same time, he's crazy. He used chemical weapons against his own people. I don't want...
He used chemical weapons against his own people? You mean like we do in the United States?
I'm talking... Well...
Remember how we used to beat children and stick dogs on them and spray them with chemicals?
I don't think this country's perfect. I never thought this country was perfect as far from it. But I'm just saying that I don't want that one man to dominate the Middle East. It's unpredictable. It's exactly...
So who do you want to dominate the Middle East?
Not us either, Bob. We have no right to do it. And I know that we've treated the...
Well, then who do you want to dominate the Middle East?
It's sovereign countries. Each country its own. Kuwait itself, Iraq itself, Iran itself. I don't feel comfortable with the U.S. running the whole shebang either. It's pretty mixed up. You know, a lot of people here think that if the U.S. does it, then they're right, and they know exactly...
Literally the first thing that went through my mind when I heard it is, geez, I never talked to anybody who was assassinated before.
Yeah, okay. This is the way I see it. That now he was killed. Now other Israelis are going to try and get revenge on the Arabs, and then they're going to get revenge.
Yeah.
And it's just a whole big cycle of violence. It's just ridiculous. They both need their own countries. They both need a place to call their own. And I think that the U.S. really should not try and direct it because the Middle East is not the United States. Do you agree with that?
Totally.
Okay.
That's why I don't like the idea of 430,000 people sitting over there ready to go.
Right. But I try and look back, and I remember how Germany was divided, and we had communism, and that eventually fell. And now we have West Europeans talking about a single. We have West Europeans talking about a single market.
Sounds like the audience is getting rowdy.
There's a big change.
They want to go back to the sex talk, huh?
No. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to.
No, I said the audience does.
Are you sure?
Well, there's them complaining in the background.
No, I don't want to talk about the sex, I promise. No, but like Europe became...
Oh, it's your parents. It's your parents?
No, not my parents. No, it's not my parents. We don't have these kind of conversations.
They're just friends?
Yeah.
What kind of friends are trying to keep you straight, man?
No, well, they are. I'm serious. Well,
what all these people have against you getting a little nookie?
Well, because he said, one of them said that he thinks that it would ruin my life because I wouldn't be able to be faithful when I was married.
Oh, balderdash.
I agree with you. It is balderdash.
Balderdash. What is this guy living under a rock or something?
Apparently, I'm glad. Seriously though, I'm glad that you just mentioned that because I totally agree with you, and I want him to hear it from someone else. But just getting back to the Middle East one more time.
Yeah.
In the back of my head, I kind of have a feeling that eventually this seemingly endless cycle of violence and terror will end as soon as people start getting tired of it. And I think people are going to get tired of it. Who can live like that? And I think the United States has to realize that they're already destroying their economy, and George was so grateful to lower our standard of living with his S&L deal. I mean, enough is enough. That's basically all I wanted to say to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Be good.
Thanks.
591-8900, 591-8900. You never know what you're going to hear on the radio. Isn't it amazing? Mick Henry, hi there. Mick, you're on the air at WLS.
How you doing, Bob?
Pretty good.
Yeah, I wanted to, it seems to me all the other callers have been sidestepping the question that you brought up at the beginning of the program about...
Oh, they always do. Doesn't offend me.
About wanting to be black. I would not want to be black. I would not want to have a wide nose, big lips, or kinky hair. Personally, the caller that called and said that he didn't want to be white, about how hypocritical whites were, about how they were nice to your face, and then turn around and talk behind your back or take side with whites against the black. Well, blacks do the same thing. Blacks will be nice to your face, turn around, be with their friends, what have you, colleagues, whatever, and talk right behind your back. But no, personally myself, I would not want to be black whatsoever. Glad I'm white.
You wouldn't want to be black because of the lips and the nose and the hair.
Well, that's not it. That's not all of it, I would imagine.
Well, then why?
Well, they're basically a different society. I have been around them quite a bit. Going on to the west side of Chicago is a little bit different. Say around Kedzie and Arlington, being white and going down there is a different story than going to a different class of blacks than going to Schaumburg and being around blacks that are in Schaumburg. Follow what I say?
Perfectly. 5918900, the telephone number. 2 more hours yet to go. Please, whatever you do, do not venture very far. It's just you and Lassiter on a Saturday night, and sitting there and me sitting here and kind of chit-chatting on the phone and stuff like that.
Events in the Persian Gulf.
Hey, welcome back, fun seekers. Welcome back indeed for a Saturday, November the 10th, 1990. Lassiter with you at WLS Talk Radio 890 on this little Saturday night thing that is kind of Mr. Turnip's inside joke. It's where Mr. Turnip puts me on a Saturday night, knowing full well that the vast majority of people out there in the audience look at each other and scratch their heads and say things like, "What doesn't the bag for Russia doesn't like it?" And it just makes for an incredibly interesting Saturday night. However, a number of drop-offs in the newscast utterly, absolutely, totally unexcusable, unforgivable, and will not be tolerated. Therefore, I shall give the telephone number again, which obligates you to take part in the program. 59189. Notice that was a conversation. 5918900591800. My God, what is going on in Texas? Oh, those poor people down there. Proving the teaching of evolution in a school today. Geez, just last week, a good old boy didn't get elected to governor. My goodness, things are changing fast in that community. 5918900591800. Off it is to University Park. Hi there, University. You're on the air at WLS.
Yeah, how you doing today?
Fine, thank you.
Yeah, what you're saying about the draft and all that, not about the draft, but about the way they select people now. You're saying that at 17, someone is not mature enough?
Yes, sir, that's what I said. Right, very good.
How about at 18?
No, sir.
Well, I understand...
Probably a little closer to 40. That would be a very good age to make a decision as to whether or not you should go running off and wage war.
I understand you're in favor of some kind of universal draft?
No, I'm not afraid of it. I would support a universal draft.
No, in favor of it?
That's right.
What age do you think this should begin?
18.
Well, if you were not young enough to decide on your own at 17, why are you old enough to be drafted at 18?
Because I think at 18, it's fine age to spend a couple of years of your life in service to your country.
But at 17, you're not old enough to make a decision that,
No, at 17, you're not old enough to be bribed, no. You're not old enough to understand what it is that you're signing up for.
Mm-hmm. So 1 year makes it just a world of difference, or even 1 day maybe. You know what I'm saying? You could be 17 years old.
Well, apparently you don't know what a universal draft is. We don't need millions of teenagers.
No, I'm saying is you randomly pick people out of a certain age group to, favorite countries, you put it.
No, you don't random. That's not a universal draft. Is where everyone goes into service for their country. It might be VISTA or some type of a job corps. It might be the military. It might be teaching aides, little things like that. Genuine service to the country.
So that's what you're in favor of. I just, it just doesn't seem consistent with the idea that 17 you can't pick it, but you get it 18 you can be thrown into it. It's just, if it makes sense to you, that's cool, but,
Well, it does make sense to me because the difference is bribing people.
It's better to force them.
Yeah, well, you see, with a universal draft, you would have the wealthy, the upper class people, you would have their children as well. With the situation as it is right now, it is primarily an army of working class people.
That's true.
Yeah, and it's not very fair.
Well, I guess it's better to force all and bribe a few, huh?
Yep.
Okay, thank you very much.
Anytime. 5918900, 5918900. Cicero, hi there, Cicero on the air, WLS.
Bob?
Yes, sir?
Yeah, life isn't fair sometimes.
No, it's not, sir.
Most of the time, anyway. I want to talk a little bit more here about the Middle East and our troops being over there. I just have to say that I'm proud of them, and I know everybody else is.
Proud of them for what? What have they done?
I'm proud of them for being there.
For being there.
Right. Proud
of them for being there.
Right. I think they're there for a good reason, and that's.
What's the good reason?
Yeah, that's why I called.
What's the good reason?
Oh, there's a number of good reasons. Number one is this Saddam Hussein man, if you want to call him a man. We have to take into consideration that 70% of the oil reserves. Okay.
Would you like to take into consideration that the United States of America plotted for the economic collapse of his country? Would you like to take that into consideration too?
Plotted for the economic
collapse, of his country, yeah.
Well, what does that have to do?
What does that have to do with it?
I mean, what are you trying to say?
I'm not trying to. I just did say.
Well, good. Why don't we do it?
No, sir, we did.
Face of the map.
No, blow them off the face of the map. Oh, that would be good, huh?
That would be wonderful.
Bum, 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 Iraq. Bum, 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 Iraq.
Yeah, well, anyway, let's get back to some other things here. Sure. 70% of the oil reserves, are in jeopardy. That's what our boys and our women and men are out there.
Just imagine what we could do if we put a couple of $1 billion a month into synthetic fuels research. Make those 70% of those oil reserves worthless.
Yeah, that fellow, he also is harboring, it's a known fact that he's harboring some of the world's the terrorists in the world.
He is. I thought they were living over there with Gaddafi.
No.
They moved.
Yeah, they moved. Now, matter of fact, the guy that's responsible...
God, those people move a lot, you know?
Yeah, the guy that's responsible for having that Pan Am jet...
Isn't it amazing how the State Department and the CIA know where all these people live and know when they move, but they just never seem to be able to catch them moving?
Yeah,
God.
I guess not. But anyway, he's harboring a bunch of those guys to do some dirty work for him in the future, just in case. So we got to watch our borders a little bit. One of the guys is responsible for blowing that Pan Am jet out of the air. And, it's also a known fact that this man is capable of having nuclear weapons within 2 to 3 years. And,
And what happens then?
We all know that...
what happens then?
What happens then?
Yeah, when he has the nuclear weapons?
When you have nuclear weapons, you can kill other people. I didn't know if you're aware of that, Bob.
Really?
Yeah.
Deng Xiaoping has nuclear weapons.
Well, good for him.
He takes over other countries.
He's not a man.
No, he doesn't, sir. He shoots people in his own streets.
Yeah.
Invades other countries and takes them over.
Right.
Yeah, like Tibet.
Right. Okay.
And, by the way, he has missiles. He can deliver his nuclear weapons. So how come we're not over there?
Well, are we supposed to be everywhere? I think...
Well, he was first.
He was first.
Yeah, he did his stuff first.
Well, he was doing it inside his own country, too. Not that I condone it. What I'm trying to say is you're trying to compare...
How can you take over... No, I'm not comparing
oranges.
apples and oranges. How can you take over another country inside your own country? Like Tibet.
Tibet, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, Tibet never used to be part of China, or what? Is that what you're trying to tell me now? Or?
Right, sir. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Okay. Well, I'd have to go back in my history books, but the point I'm trying to make here now, okay, is that I listened earlier, and every time someone tries to say something regarding we're almost ready to go to war and so on and so forth. You just keep cutting everything down. Totally.
Yeah, man, what a drag. A guy that doesn't want to go to war. Gee, willikers.
Hey, war is hell.
Yeah.
I know it.
Ooh, let me write that. War
is hell. Right. That's
WARLL.
IS, excuse me. HELL. Yeah. So I don't understand your attitude. Your attitude is,
Yeah, that I don't want to go to war. God, how could you possibly be expected to understand a guy like that? Man that doesn't want to see tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people killed. Kind of a man of mine.
Well, I don't understand where you're coming from again.
Collingswood, New Jersey.
Huh?
Collingswood, New Jersey. It's right outside of Philadelphia.
I mean,
between Camden and Westmont.
When somebody calls in to talk to you, why don't you talk like a man instead of compare apples with oranges and, you know what I'm talking about? I mean, I just been here I've been hearing, I mean, you sniffing
Which do you
glue
prefer,
over there
Macintosh
today?
or delicious?
You know, I'm astonished. I mean, you're sniffing
Well,
glue
actually, I
there
guess I should
today?
say
And your
Macintosh,
whole
yeah.
attitude and your mannerism is, I'm embarrassed. And I'm actually embarrassed and ashamed that we have a host in Chicago radio with a half a brain. I mean, you have people listening out there and calling up, and when they bring up something, you talk to them like they're a piece of beep, you know, and I think it's you know, I'm not even going to waste my time anymore.
Off it is to Marquette Park. Hi there, Marquette. You're on the air.
Hello.
WLS. Hi.
Hello.
Yes, hello.
Yes. I'm a first-time caller, and as soon as I heard you put up your premise, my ears perked up. I'm very nervous. But how would you feel if you woke up in the morning black? Suits me just fine, because I happen to be a white person who has always had the feeling that I'm black inside. I strike up an affinity somehow with members of the black race, and we feel that we know it, and there's some dear friendships involved and so forth. So how would I feel? I would feel just fine, because I just don't have the newfound motto, black is beautiful. I have always felt that black is beautiful. It can be thick-lipped and broad-nosed or whatever. I'm not, going by facial features. I spend a great deal of time trying to get my skin tan in the summer. And the darker, the better. I love myself that way. Just so, in the nature of my personal things, I happen to be slowly writing a book composed primarily of black composites of black people I have known through the years, and finally a storyline developed, and I work at it consistently. Eventually there's a gentleman who is going to go over it so that I'm not hurting anyone's feelings in any way. He's as familiar with the scene I'm writing about as I am, and I feel very at home in that atmosphere. Not that I don't have white friends, but I'm kind of an oddity to them. And I don't preach my wanting to be black or anything. I just feel that I am a black person.
Thank you very much. Won't be long until she's on Taylor's show. She's writing a book. 591-8900, 591-8900. Glenwood. Hi, Glenn. You're on the air at WLS.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm a first-time caller, too. I'm just calling to say that I think it's too bad that we have programs in the high schools that 17-year-olds can sign up for the military and things like that. I really feel that 17-year-old is too young to go to war or even think about going to war. A 25-year-old man can't sometimes conceive about going into war and killing people.
Well, it doesn't say anything very good about us that we would literally pluck our children from the nest.
Yeah, it's too bad. Sometimes I feel that parents these days don't care sometimes enough or don't involve themselves enough, because to get a parent's consent, very easy. Bring home the form, you tell your parents, they'll sign it.
Well, parents are in essence being bribed too.
Oh, sure. And then kids in high school, 17, 18-year-olds, seniors in high school, getting ready to graduate, they're looking for money, and they're looking to their future, money for college, and they're going to take what they can get. Some people can't get scholarships because they don't have the grades to get it. So the military sounds like a great opportunity. But I really think being 17 years old is too young to make a decision like that. Really feel that way. And I hope to God that we don't have to force our men to go to war. I have 3 older brothers and a fiance, and I really hope that they don't have to be forced to go to war one day. I really don't. I know I don't believe in war, and I don't feel that it's right, but we can't avoid it.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
591-8900. This time it is Oak Lawn. Hi there, Oak. You're on the air at WLS.
Oak Lawn?
Yep.
It's me. And I want to tell you something, Bob. I think you're great. But, getting back to racial people, these people that are so racial, Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could just choose our own parents and nobody in the world can? God made us for slaves. He gave us the parents we have. How wonderful, huh? And if Bush would only, how much does it cost today to have all our men out there? It would be wonderful. All the oil we could buy with all the money it's costing us, right? What do you think about that?
Didn't know that the rum bonbon people delivered. Decatur, hi Decatur, you're on the air at WLS.
Bob?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my first time calling. And I'm a Vietnam vet, and I've got sons 16 and 18. And I hate to think of any young man having to go through what I went through. And it was not fun at all. And I'm not one of these people that go out and march and protest or, wear my fatigues around, nothing like that. And it just definitely scares me. And I don't think no young man, it's 19 years old. I spent 11 months over there, and it was nothing but hell. And I don't think anybody deserves to go through that, the reasons we're over there. And that's about all I had to say. First time I ever called any talk show, but I always listened to you and just thought that deep down in my heart, it scares me.
Thank you for the call. 591-8900, a Saturday night special at WLS with Lassiter, Lassiter.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tom Snyder. On tonight's radio show, the legendary talents of singer and writer Mary Wilson. She reviews her life as a supreme, a story of survival in the glamorous and corrupt business of music. Then the night side hour, you and T.S. all alone on the toll-free lines for whatever is on your minds, as long as we can print it. Only on tonight's radio show, live at 10, here on Talk Radio 890 in Chicago, WLS.
When you apply for a loan, you shouldn't have to worry about being approved, paying an application fee, or waiting a month for closing. Call First National Equity. They offer 24 different home equity loan programs. Get low fixed rates, lines of credit up to 100% of your home's value, adjustable or fixed rate mortgage, even mortgages for buying a new home. Apply by phone, no application fees. First National Equity is flexible. They tailor a loan just for you, whether you have good or bad credit. Instead of talking at you across a big desk, they work with you. The average loan is approved in 48 hours, closed in a few weeks, and their home equity loans have tax-deductible interest, better than most banks and lower than credit cards. Call First National Equity Incorporated, 1-800-582-5001. Get a home equity loan to consolidate bills, pay for college, vacation, or remodeling. Call First National Equity toll-free from Illinois or Indiana at 1-800-582-5001. First National Equity Incorporated.
Chicago's most informative radio station, WLS, Talk Radio 890. Call 591-8900. Now, here's Bob Lassiter.
Oh, man, I'm sitting here feeling really bad. That caller, a couple of calls back, said, gee, Willie, he was all bummed out that, Chicago had to have a talk show host that wasn't in favor of war. Oh, man. Well, there is the possibility, we're almost to the point of no return, almost at the halfway point on the Saturday night special. There is the possibility that we could spend the rest of the program encouraging you to get on the phone and talk over the airs of this 50,000-watt flamethrower about what you would do if you could get your hands on one of them there Iraqis. Pull his nose off, shove it in his ear, that kind of stuff. So that Chicago shouldn't have to be defamed with the likes of a Lassiter, who is obviously not a complete man because he isn't in favor of war and stuff, doesn't want to, bomb babies and burn villages and that kind of stuff. So that is a distinct possibility. As a matter of fact, you would be encouraged to get on the air and say what it is that you would do if you could get your hands on one of them there Iraqis, if you could get your hands on one. To the south side, South, you're on the air at WLS.
Yeah, hey Bob, what's up?
Not much.
Oh yeah, well, I don't know, I was just listening about the Iraqis.
Yeah.
I don't know, if I got a hold of one of them, I don't know what I'd do. I might slap him a little bit or something.
Slap him a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, but I want to know about the draft. I mean, I think that's crazy, having it 18 if it is. But if it was 17, I think that's horrible. Because, let's see, I'm going to be graduating next year, and if there was a draft, I wouldn't want to have to go to the war. And I just think that's a crazy idea.
Well, what have you done recently to try to stop it?
I don't know what to do.
You know what to do?
No.
Well, you can tell people you don't like the idea of it.
Yeah, but who are you supposed to tell?
Well, you might start with Bush.
Well, you can't. How can you talk to him?
Jot something down on a piece of paper. Send it to him.
Would it work?
If you did it?
Yeah.
Nah.
Well, if I got about 100 people?
Well, now you're starting to talk. And if they got 100, 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 now you're starting to talk.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think that's crazy.
Well, don't write him then.
Oh, I think I will.
Sit there and sweat.
No. I'm good at talk to him.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
591-8900, 591-8900 to the northwest side. It is Northwest. You're on the air. WLS.
Bob?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I like a person that takes other than the popular point of view, so I appreciate that about what you're doing. At the same time, if the people that want to take a stand different than yours, including myself, isn't that we want war.
Of course not.
Okay, they're
You want to restore a king.
Pardon me?
You want to restore a king. You don't want war, you just want to restore a king.
No, we're stuck sometimes. The way I see it, if Jordan and Egypt were our friends, and Saudi Arabia, Jordan was a weak friend, I'll admit. But if you're as much as saying, okay, we're through with you, Iraq can have you. Because there's no question if we pull out and let him take away, and we don't want to fight. Go ahead.
Sir, Jordan and Iraq were pretty good buddies, good trading partners. And Iraq doesn't really have any way of getting to Egypt.
Jordan and Egypt are the target of the Iraqi revolution type of thing, that they want to overthrow those countries, which I can understand, but they have worked with us. So we just tell them, if Iraq wants to move in, and they're the most powerful country there, they could walk right through Jordan, right through Saudi Arabia. After all, the United States has...
Well, why hadn't they, sir? Why didn't they do that?
Why didn't they go into Jordan?
Yeah.
Because we're there.
No, we're not in Jordan, sir.
No, we're not. No. But they knew if they went beyond that, at this point, they would risk a war with us, which I believe they do not want. And they're afraid because they were not that strong a power, and he is a dictator. And he's controlling his people by the means that dictators use. It doesn't mean they support him necessarily.
Oh.
So I don't think he had the kind of support that, say, the Vietnamese gave Ho Chi Minh.
You know, there is a legislature in Iraq.
You got to be kidding.
No.
You take that serious.
Quite serious. There's a legislature in Iraq. There's 6 political parties.
They had a
you know how many political parties there are in Saudi Arabia? None.
Your point is that there's that the people in...
Oh, no, I didn't say there's democracy. I didn't say there's democracy. I said there's a legislature there, just like there is in Egypt. By the way, both Hussein in Iraq and Mubarak in Egypt have total veto power over the legislatures. You might say they're both dictators.
Yeah, but
and of course, there wasn't
Egypt is not threatening. I'm not complaining that they have a dictatorship. I don't want to change Iraqi government. That's up to them. But when that person moves against or will move against the other countries, his own people cannot oppose him. That's a different story. I don't care what kind of government he is, but I believe those people don't have any more choice in what he does.
I mean, you think that foreign governments should go in and take over other governments and take money from those countries? They should be stopped. Is that what you're saying?
If the government threatens to take over...
You mean it's wrong for a government to take over another country, and that should be stopped. Is that what you're saying?
Is it wrong for government to take over? In general...
Well, when do you want to move against the English? Because they're still sitting on territory that they took through military means.
History.
Oh,
I mean, this is...
Well, how long do they have to hold it before we don't do anything about it?
Wait.
50 years?
Well, I would say I wouldn't be concerned that much about Kuwait even.
100?
But if he takes Kuwait and he knows, like you're talking about, well, we don't want to have a war, is there anything to stop him from taking Saudi Arabia and Egypt and Jordan?
Yes.
What?
Well, first of all, it's a little difficult for him to get to Egypt. Secondly, he gave no indication whatsoever. He could have easily taken over Saudi Arabia the day after he took over Kuwait. Easily. And he didn't make any move toward it. Stopped dead at the border.
No, because we
started to put up defensive forces at the border, not offensive positions, defensive.
If we pulled out, that would leave a vacuum for him to go in.
Sir, we weren't there when he started to entrench defensively.
Right, we didn't.
We weren't even there.
I know, but he
didn't even say we were going when he started to put up defensive positions.
This is not analogous, but when Hitler took the Sudetenland...
I know it isn't.
It isn't, but that's all he wanted, supposedly. That's all he was going to take, he said so himself.
Mm-hmm.
But when the nations didn't stop him, and I'm not comparing this guy to Hitler, the situation of, just because he says, this is where I'm going to stop, but there's nothing to stop him from going further.
Nope.
Okay.
Not a damn thing, including us.
Well, then if we pull out and he knows we're not going to protect those countries, maybe it doesn't matter if he takes them all, but he would take them. That's my opinion.
Did you ever play war games?
Pardon me?
Did you ever play war games?
No, I didn't.
One of the best ways you'll find if you play war games to defeat your enemy is to let him expand.
Well, if
easiest way to defeat your enemy. Only sure way.
Well, the point I
He's
want to make
thinner and thinner and weaker.
Yeah, but here's the point. I guess the bottom line is that he was a very weak enemy when Israel fought.
Yeah.
They're just a token that.
Yeah, like all the other forces over there are just tokens.
Pardon me?
Like all of the international peacekeeping forces over there are tokens.
You have a point that they aren't providing as much as that they could. They're not going to help necessarily all that much. England may be providing a pretty strong force.
Yeah, 5,000-6,000.
I don't know the numbers.
100 tanks.
Pardon me?
And 100 tanks.
Yeah, that's all right. Regardless of that, even in World War II, when we could have stopped Hitler...
Of course, at least the English tanks were designed to fight in the sand. Ours aren't.
Pardon me?
I said at least the English tanks were designed to fight in the sand. Ours aren't.
Well, our weapons are usually not suitable for what they're going to do. But hopefully they're better than usual. I don't know. But we so... what I think is that not that I want war, but I think a war can be prevented if he knows we're serious. But if he knows he has to bark, just make noises and watch until we get more disturbed and pull out, then there's more of a chance of a war because we're going to have to stop him. We may have to stop him eventually. Because, he'll be encouraged, is what I'm trying to say. Go ahead.
No, just about to say thank you. 591-8900 to a car phone. It is Car. You're on the air, WLX.
Hi, Bob. I would love to hear you and Rush Limbaugh go at it. That would really make my day. I just wanted to make a comment and try to keep from getting sarcastic with you, like I think you're getting with some of your listeners. I think, like the previous caller, when we're fair game in what we say, I think you can conversationalize in such a way as to continue to make your point, and you try to decimate or disorganize the person who's trying to call. And I really feel that you try to intimidate people to the point where certain kind of people call, and then the other people that call, you kind of write them off. And in hearing your conversations in other times in the afternoon, too, I just wanted to say that, give you the feedback that it frustrates me, too. Maybe that's showbiz, so maybe that's not feedback.
What are you going to do when you win over there, sir?
you go off and it's like a tailor-fit conversation where you think by asking questions you tailor-fit things so that you can kind of confuse a person.
No, I'm not trying to confuse you, sir. I'm trying to make you think clearly. What are you going to do when you win? What happens then?
When I win what? I'm talking about a sarcastic radio announcer.
Right, in relationship to the Iraqi question. So what are you going to do when you win, sir?
Well, I'm not talking about. I'm talking about how you're sarcastic with people and you try to manipulate a conversation so that you basically make your point 10 times, which happens to be what I would consider to be from time to time liberal First Amendment protection to the point where
liberal First Amendment protection?
Well, I'm just saying you keep repeating yourself. You're so redundant. Yet
what the hell does liberal First Amendment protection mean, sir?
Well, when anybody else wants to make a point that's conservative in any respect, then you just basically try to tear them apart in such a way that the point never...
What does liberal First Amendment protection mean, sir?
That's where my point where Rush Limbaugh and you would really have a good time, because I think that you're diametrically opposed to each other. And it would be nice to hear you two go at it, because...
What does liberal First Amendment protection mean, sir?
I was confused, I guess, there. So I'd rather go with that. But I would say that you like to have your point repeated and restated to the point of redundancy, and then you intimidate people who want to call who have a difference of opinion, and you basically use shock.
What, by asking them, what they mean? That's intimidation, sir?
No, I think you use shock, and sometimes you use a false sense of you knowing statistics that I don't really think you know half the time. But
for example?
Just in general.
What do you mean just in general? Can't you give me an example? I mean, if I do this all the time, it should be a piece of cake.
Some continuity to your
program. No, sir, you're trying to make broad brush accusations that you can't back up.
Around me now, though?
No, sir.
No, I won't hang up on you.
Great.
That I think that...
Sit there and be a fool making these broad brush accusations that you can't back up and have me constantly nail you on it. Fine. I make my living, sir, and it's a damn good one, too. Thank you.
You just did it.
Damn good.
Just like somebody hearing you, I think people can make conclusions.
I mean, you've got women's underwear on. Sorry if you need to back that up, of course.
No, what I'm trying to...
Audience can make their own decision about it.
Now, that's the best thing you could say, and I appreciate that, but when someone calls who happens to really...
Sure, at least half of them believe you do.
When somebody sincerely opposes you, though, you treat them and talk much differently with them.
Oh, you're seriously opposing me, sir?
I guess I would seriously oppose your technique, which I think is showbiz. I think you do that...
For ratings.
Yes.
Yes, for ratings. I'm the only guy in the entire industry, sir, that works to try to get ratings.
No.
All the others are just,
No.
public service people.
No, I'm just saying that that's true, and I think relating to a phone conversation that you had relating to the lady that got duped into joining the service, and now she owes the government money. I was listening to that day.
I don't know the government money, sir.
Well, I'm saying the government gave her money to sponsor her through, and I think that when you were talking about the recruiting office having all the fancy-dancy pictures to lure these young kids in, I think that that's their way of selling their wares, just like when you ask certain provocative questions and then take your radio break to keep everybody on their toes. I think that's showbiz, and I think that some people that call are just sincerely wanting to converse with you because it's meaningful, and I think sometimes the way you talk to them to try to get people irate or angry, I just think that I wish you could use that technique when it came to somebody who happened to have your point of view, because if they don't have your point of view, you tend to take them on a merry-go-round, you wrap them up and strangle them with their own shoelace, and I just wanted to be able to...
No, it's usually their own shoelaces, they're not mine, but theirs.
Now that can be, but I'm just saying that your treatment of them and the way you do use your trigger...
Well, sir, I'm really very sorry that it disappoints you that I don't suffer fools.
You don't what?
Suffer fools.
Well, according to your opinion, but see, this is talk radio.
No, it's not according to my opinion, sir. It's a fact. I don't suffer fools.
No, but what I'm saying...
It's not a matter of opinion, it's
somebody
fact.
May call you and not even think or believe that what you just said is true.
Yeah, like you.
But the point is, if that person wants to get on the air, which is part of the talk radio biz, one would think that you'd give them equal, whatever it is, protocol. But I don't see
equal protocol.
Well,
that's like liberal First Amendment.
I guess we would say protocol, humanity, gratitude, but I don't see that.
I can't remember ever having a call I couldn't handle.
Well, based on the fact that you keep switching subjects with the patients, trying to throw them off. I think that it's hard to think.
No, sir, I don't keep switching subjects. I keep trying to keep them on the subject.
Well, I don't
Unless they say things like liberal First Amendment.
Well, no, what I guess I'm saying is I think we're all entitled to our own opinions, and that's okay, but they differ. I guess what I'm saying is if the person differs from you, though, I have heard it from time to time that you're kind of...
Try to get them to say what it is they differ about. Or, like when they make broad, sweeping accusations, I try to get them to point out exactly what it is they're talking about.
Yeah.
Like when a guy calls up and says, everything you say factually is wrong, I tend to ask, well, could you give us some examples?
Yeah, and I agree, but let me ask you, have you ever been in conversation or would ever think...
No, sir, I've never been in conversation.
Conversation with Rush, would you ever think about considering... I know you...
Yeah, sir, I've been in conversation with him, I know him.
No, but I'm saying over the air about...
Yeah, I've had him on my show twice.
Okay, because I think that would be pretty... Do you tend to differ with him in most respects?
No, sir, I agree with him right down the line.
Do you really?
Oh, yeah.
Do you think you agree
Yeah, I
with
just
him?
do this for ratings.
So I was going to ask you, do you think you do that because of that, or do you think that you have some opposing views? Because it sounds
No opposing views at all, sir.
Well, when I listen to both your programs, I think you sound very different in your attitudes about even...
Well, that's because, I lie through my teeth for ratings and rushes.
I didn't say you did that. I'm just saying...
Magnificent human being speaks the truth.
I didn't see that either. But you know what I really appreciate most of all, though? I appreciate you keep me on and not pulling the button on me.
591-800-591-8900 to the north side. It is north. You're on the air, WLS.
Hello?
Yes.
Hi. I would just like to comment on the lady that said earlier how terrible it was that the military recruits in high schools and that 17 and 18-year-olds should be going into the military as opposed to 25-year-olds. And I'm not taking issue with her, but I'm just saying that that's not really reality. Most 25-year-olds wouldn't go if they had the choice. And that, unfortunately, throughout history, the 17 and 18-year-olds are reaching their peak physically.
No, sir, a man reaches the peak of his physical maturity in his late 20s.
And mentally, and yet they're still impressionable. And the whole process of all the branches of the military's basic training is brainwash. That after 8 weeks or 10 weeks or 13 weeks or whatever it is, they turn you into a fanatic for their cause. And that's simply not possible with somebody, over 21 or 22. And that was my own experience. I went into basic training as a college graduate of 22, and I was so cynical, it was incredible. I almost got into a lot of trouble because I always wanted to say, whenever they gave me an order, well, why, or what's it for, or whatever. But to really staff an army in the front ranks, you have to have those 17, 18-year-olds full of vim and vigor and fully brainwashed to your cause. And that's been throughout history for thousands of years. So, and the other point I had with recruiting in high school, well, who else recruits in high school? Does anybody in corporate America go to a high school and say, we'll offer you a job, lifetime, promotions, a pension? No one else goes to high school. No one. They go to the graduate business MBA schools. They go to the engineering schools. No one recruits at high school. So that's just my 2 points for what that lady had to say about how terrible it was for 17 or 18-year-olds to go. But I'm just saying it's, the Romans had a saying, I can't remember that in Latin anymore, but it's sweet and fitting that young men should die for their country. And that's just been throughout the ages.
Thank you very much. 591-8900 Arkansas. Hello there, Arkansas. You're on the air, WLS.
Hello?
Hi.
Yeah, first off, I wanted to say, please, like the other caller did, please don't hang up on me because I'm calling you long distance. I just wanted to make a comment on what you were talking about earlier about...
He's getting to me.
Iraq.
Calling long distance. That'll do it for sure. I'll hang up on this one.
Okay, Iraq, you were talking about Iraq having a legislature.
Yes, they do.
It's obvious that Hussein has total control of the legislature.
Yeah, so does Mubarak have total control of the Egyptian
except that he
legislature.
hasn't killed his brother-in-law along with 17 people in the last 10 years of anyone who opposed him. In fact, if you, and excuse if you hear any noise, I pulled off the side of the road to call you here. Not only did he kill anyone who opposed him, he, about a year and a half ago, right after the war with Iran, he shot someone in a meeting who had just run a battle wrong. He has absolute control and total fear over the whole country. And even though this is about an oil war, I don't know how you can defend Iraq if that's what it seems like that's what you're doing.
No, it doesn't seem like that's what I'm doing at all.
What are you doing then?
Trying to talk some sense into my country.
You don't think
getting into an unwinnable situation.
Do you personally think we should let Hussein do whatever he wants in the Middle East?
Should we let him?
Yeah, should we let him?
Where the hell is it chiseled in stone that it's our position to not let him?
Well, considering that we're dependent on oil because the environmentalists won't let us build more nuclear power plants.
No, sir, that's not what we're dependent on oil.
We're not? We import 55% of our oil now.
That's right, sir.
So we're pretty dependent on oil.
Yeah, well, it's not because the environmentalists won't let us build nuclear power plants.
Why is it then?
It's because we're greedy, it's because we're selfish, and we're stupid and short-sighted, sir, and we squander it.
No, I don't think we squander it.
Right, it's the environmentalists' fault.
What do you think? I mean, you and I both know, I know you're well-read, that if we were like France, where we got 80% of our nuclear power, or like of our electricity from nuclear power, it would cut.
Well, there are a couple of other things about France that you're kind of forgetting.
And what is that?
They keep their thermostats low in the winter. They do not live in an air-conditioned society, and they drive small, economical cars.
Well, the last time I was in France, at least a third of them were large Mercedes-Benz. 500 SLs or larger.
At least a third of the cars in France are 500 SLs or larger. Sure. Yeah.
The point being, you don't think that we have a duty to keep the world's financial systems from going into a mess from...
Yes, sir, I think we do have a duty, and unfortunately what we've done is ensure the world financial economic collapse with our outrageous borrowing over the last 10 years.
Absolutely. That's true.
That we cannot pay back and do not wish to pay back.
If Hussein would have rolled over Saudi Arabia, what do you think would have happened? Would that have been
better? Me, sir, he stopped at the border. He had no intention of going in there.
You don't think he had intention?
No, sir, he stopped at the border and started entrenching with defensive positions.
Because
which is a very, very bizarre... I mean, I know the guy's supposed to be crazy, but very few generals put up defensive positions when they're planning on going ahead.
Except that we were immediately in...
No, we weren't immediately in, sir. It took many, 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 many weeks. As a matter of fact, it's only been the last month
that we could defend it, but within 10 days we had 20,000, 30,000 troops.
No, we didn't have 20,000, 30,000 troops there, sir, within 10 days.
How many did we have?
A little more like 5,000 or 6,000. They were basically support people.
Going to war with the United States? No way. If you were gone in and wiped them out...
oh, no, sir. He's really afraid of going to war with us. That's why he hightailed it right back to Iraq.
Doesn't have any hightailing it with. It has to do with... He knew even then he was not willing to risk the 3 cruise missiles still wiped them out. But the point is that I know you're...
Gee, I guess we still have 3 cruise missiles, sir. It doesn't look like he's terribly afraid of them.
It seems to me that someone, and I know you're well-read, and I know you're intelligent. It's hard for me to believe that you really believe what you say.
No, sir, I just do it for ratings.
No, I'm not even talking about ratings.
Really a warmonger.
No, I believe that you...
So every now and then I push the cough button and I sit here and I holler, kill, 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 but you guys can't hear it.
You truly don't believe we need to defend Saudi Arabia, huh? I'm not even talking about patriotism. I'm talking for our own benefit. For the good of our country so that we can continue to have cheap oil so this guy won't be like Hitler and control all of the Middle East.
Hitler didn't control all of the Middle East.
Well, I'm talking about
the English and the French.
Obviously, Hitler didn't.
The English and the French, with their naked aggression, controlled the Middle East.
Obviously, Hitler didn't control the Middle East. They controlled all of Europe.
No, not all of Europe, sir.
Most of it.
A lot of it.
The point being is that would it be better, really, to let him have total control of the Middle East?
He doesn't have the ability to have total control of the Middle East, sir. He's forgetting the 3 very, very strong neighbors that he has that would not appreciate it at all.
Like who?
Oh, like Iran, like Syria, and like Israel.
Except that Iran is the only one who controls any oil there. And Israel, if Israel jumps in, you and I know, and all the people listening know that would unite the Arabs against the rest of so-called coalition. Isn't that true? If Israel jumped in the war?
It might, yeah.
The point being is that I've noticed in the last 3 weeks, and I've heard several callers on not just your show, but other shows, talk about how the tide has turned as the media hyped it. don't see how people can keep, can not be
I don't
willing.
think you've ever heard anybody on my show, sir, and especially me say the tide has turned.
Well, the tide has turned. At first, everybody was rah, let's defend it. And now...
70% of the people are still rah, let's do it.
I know that's the statistics, but not on the talk shows. It's not like that. Maybe not on yours, but on the others, they're all kind of like most of your callers have been tonight. Let's get out and forget it.
Most of my callers have not been let's get out and forget it, sir.
They haven't, huh?
No, they have not.
Well, maybe I just have selective hearing.
I think you do. It's
point being,
about 50-50 on the show. It usually is.
I'm sorry?
It's about 50-50 on the show. It usually is.
Is it about 50-50? Mm-hmm. What would you suggest that we do right now? If you were going to make the decision tomorrow? Would you suggest we pull out?
I suggest that we keep up what we initially set out to do, which is a right, fitting, and moral position, and that is to enforce an economic blockade.
When has that worked in the last 20 years?
When was it ever given a chance?
Several times.
Never.
I can't tell
Never.
you.
Where? When, sir?
Well, when?
Who?
When was it not given a chance?
Sir, who was it given a chance against? Who? Well, you told me it didn't work, so obviously you know who it didn't work against. Who didn't it work against, sir?
Well, who was it not given a chance against?
Sir, you said it didn't work. Who didn't it work against?
I understand that. I'm just saying...
in other words, you shot off your mouth knowing full well that it was never tried.
No, it's
never been tried.
It's been tried.
Where?
It was tried against Iran.
No, it wasn't.
We had economic blockades against...
No, it wasn't, sir. We sold stuff to Iran, for God's sake.
And the bottom line is...
In other words, we've never put an economic blockade against Iran. We sold to them and bought from them.
Right now, the economic blockade is not even working against Iraq.
Sir, how... What do you want it to work in 3 days?
I'm sorry?
What do you want it in 3 days? 3 weeks? 3 months?
The point is the smuggling is still going on and will not stop. The bottom line is, I don't know if you read the article. I'm sure you did, or maybe some of your clerks brought it to you. The article in the Wall Street Journal about a month ago about how food is still plentiful. It's lasted a lot longer than they expect.
Yeah.
And
the economic blockade took a long time, sir.
Yeah, it could take 3 or 4 years.
Yes, it could.
And
geez, wouldn't that be terrible? 3 or 4 years of waiting them out, you know, and when we could get it over with 20, 30, 40, 50,000 lives.
No, I'm not saying that. Do you really think, considering the state of the world, that the coalition would last for that long?
Hell no.
Well, then why do you support an economic blockade if you don't think it would last? If it would last, I'd be all for it.
See, sir, that's the whole point. It's an unwinnable situation no matter what you do.
Unless we
unwinnable.
And wipe them out.
Oh, and then what? Then what do you do, sir?
Set up a democracy.
Set up a democracy.
And that the emir of Kuwait does not deserve to be set back up.
Well, wait a second, sir. Set up a democracy. What do you mean? How quickly are you going to be able to do that?
How quickly?
Yeah.
Well, once the war would be over, obviously.
Well, 6 weeks. 6 weeks later?
No, I mean
6
it
months.
probably take 6 months.
6 months. In a situation like that, where you've now turned over the balance of power in the Middle East, you're going to come home with this new democracy that, in a war-devastated nation that has no economy, has no military, you're going to go home.
You could set up.
How about if the people in this new democracy vote in Hussein's brother?
They would.
You going to let them do that?
They hate him.
Are you going to let them vote in Hussein's brother?
They hate him.
Are you going to let them vote in Hussein's clone?
Do you think they would?
Well, suppose they do, sir. Then what? Are you going to stop them from doing that? Are you going to allow them to do that, sir? Or are you going to stop them?
You have to allow them, obviously. But the question is, do you think they would any more than the emerging democracies in Eastern Europe have voted the communists back in? I mean, there's no way. That guy's rich. I mean, you know that. You know, he kills at the drop of a hat.
Oh, now it's at the drop of a hat.
Okay.
Before it was only 17 people.
Anyone who opposes him even slightly.
Even slightly.
Okay, you want a specific example? He killed a general, this was about 5 years ago. This was in the Wall Street Journal, too. I'm sure you read it. A general who suggested, when they were in the war with Iran, that he didn't, not that he stepped down, but that he stepped down as far as the figurehead. And he took him in the other room, immediately killed him. He wasn't suggesting...
Yeah, a lot of people do stuff like that during wars, sir. It's one of the ways that you keep your country in line. 591-8900, 591-8900.
Hi,
Hi, this is Stacey Taylor. The next time we get together, you'll have had a full weekend to rest up and restore those intellectual reservoirs. Pay a little attention, at least, to the Sunday newspaper. Keep an eye on television news. Watch the events in the Middle East. And check out what's happening right here in Chicago as well. And be prepared to go to the phones with plenty of guest-free phones on Monday with your comments. 9 a.m., The Stacey Taylor Show on Talk Radio 890.
Time is running out on Sears' 72-hour fine jewelry sale. The best prices of the season on diamonds, 14-karat gold chains and earrings, precious gems, Seiko and Citizen watches, and much, much more. Every item 30 to 70% below comparable values offered elsewhere. But Sears' 72-hour fine jewelry sale ends Monday. So hurry to Sears, or all that glitters will be gone.
I think my car needs work.
Yeah, well, you could start by getting rid of the fuzzy dice.
No, it's my engine. I think it needs a tune-up.
Oh, take it to a Goodyear certified auto service retailer.
He knows tune-ups?
Mm-hmm. Computerized engine tune-ups. They find out what's wrong and make it right with no excuses.
So Goodyear can fix it right?
Yes.
The first time?
Yes.
With no excuses?
Yes.
Can they make it a Mercedes?
No.
Okay. Goodyear certified auto service retailers.
For no excuses auto service, just look for the no excuses sign in the window.
We're covering the issues you're talking about at home, at work, and other places. We're WLS Talk Radio 890. Call 591-8900. 591-8900. Now, here's Bob Lassiter.
Off it is to Oklahoma. Hello, Oak. You're on the air at WLS.
Yeah, Bob.
Yes, sir.
August 3rd, when Mr. Bush came out and was talking about the invasion, he said at first that he wasn't going to do anything about it. Then a few hours later, Margaret Thatcher come out with him, and he seemed to change his attitude altogether. British Petroleum has a big interest over there in Kuwait, and I'm just wondering if it's not more economically against England than it is us, being this one world order, and that is why we're over there. Would you agree with that?
One world order, sir?
Yes, that he was talking about.
He didn't speak of one world order, sir.
Well, the United Nations and that.
He didn't speak of one world order, sir.
Or what was it?
A new world order is what he said.
Whatever, but...
Yeah, whatever. Well, there's a slight difference.
What do you think that's part of it? Is why we're over there? Is it because of
British Petroleum? Oh, sir, I sit here day after day and say that. British Petroleum, no two ways about it.
Okay, and on this 17-year-old girl, if she would have made a contract with somebody here in the United States, like an automobile dealer to buy a car, wouldn't that be void?
Yes, it would.
Wouldn't it be the same thing for the government?
Should be.
All right. I agree with that, too.
Good.
Where was you at in 1965?
Where was I at in 1965?
You're, 44?
20 years old in 1965. I was in New York City.
Is it in college or what?
No.
You didn't get drafted, or?
Yeah, I got drafted 3 times.
You didn't have to go?
Nope.
Deferment?
2 of the times, yeah.
Okay. I was just wondering. All right, that's about all I had to say.
591-8900, 591-8900 to the south side. It is Hunter South. You're on the air, WLS.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah. This might sound real far-fetched. Okay, just kind of hear me out here a little bit. What if we are seeing a great opportunity to go into the back door to get the Iranians? Using today just to go through the back door.
Yeah, just to the back door of a nation of 50 million people. 175 miles across the water.
Yeah, I'm just just to settle every, with the terrorists and everything else. But just to
I thought the terrorists were in Iraq. I thought they moved from Libya to Iraq.
Huh?
I thought the terrorists moved from Libya to Iraq. You mean now they've moved to Iran?
No, Iran, they've been a thorn in our side for years. You know that.
We've been a thorn in theirs.
What's that?
We've kind of been a thorn in theirs. Suppose their government put in our own, that kind of stuff.
But what I'm saying is just, I don't know, maybe I'm kind of phrasing it wrong. Just like going, start it and see what shakes out.
Hey, why not? What the hell? Yeah.
You know,
start it and see what shakes
because,
out.
okay, half the world's over there now, isn't it?
No, sir, it isn't.
What countries are in there now? They're sitting there in Arabia right now, ready to go.
Sir, if you're talking about 2,000 to 4,000 token force, 2,000 to 4,000 man token forces, that's not half the world, sir.
Yeah. Well, all right.
No,
Well,
it's not close to half the world.
But what I'm thinking though is just start it, let it go, and just see what shakes out, and be done with it.
God, I like that kind of thinking.
Huh?
I like that kind of thinking, you know? Not enough Americans think that way.
Hey, you know, it wouldn't be the first time, right? It wouldn't be the first time that something like that happened.
You, of course, will be going down in the morning to sign up so that you can be part of this.
I'm a little too old for that.
How old are you?
Huh?
How old are you?
45.
Well, I'm sure if you begged and pleaded.
What's that?
I'm sure if you begged and pleaded. And besides, even if they won't let you join officially, you can still go over there. You know, you can go out and buy a gun, go over there and wander around and help the guys.
Oh, sure.
Sure. Yeah.
You're what? One guy said, what, you're 44?
Events in the Persian Gulf are changing minute by minute. This is where your voice is heard. 50,000 watts clear. Now more than ever, if you miss a day, you miss a lot. This is WLS Talk Radio 890.
WLS Chicago.
The time at the tone is 11 o'clock.
They make it clear they're 100% behind U.S. troops in the Gulf, but leaders of a support network of some 2,500 families of soldiers is pulling together opposition to politicians pushing the Gulf crisis toward the brink of war. Co-chairman Alex Molnar, whose son is stationed in Saudi Arabia.
I think that a lot of us thought it was a good idea to go to the United Nations and ask the Security Council to invoke sanctions against Iraq. That's a good idea. And I think the idea of a peacekeeping force, which is truly multinational and genuinely defensive, is also probably a good idea. But to turn this into an American-led offensive against Iraq, I think is a very bad idea.
A new survey of Arab Americans finds deep division over the Gulf, 41% supporting Iraq's invasion of Kuwait, 47% opposed, 86% unhappy about U.S. troops taking up positions in the Saudi desert. 90% accuse Washington of a double standard, agreeing with the statement that there is no difference in Iraq's occupation of Kuwait and Israel's takeover of the West Bank and Gaza Strip. 7 northwestern rivers have crested within a foot of flood levels under heavy rains. Bill Coyne is with the Whatcom County Department of Emergency Services in Washington State.
We have several towns that are virtually ponds. They're surrounded by water. And in a couple of areas where we've not seen them troubled by water before, especially in the Whatcom County town of Ferndale. Downtown area is completely cordoned off, and streets leading in are in difficult shape.
On Hatteras Island off North Carolina, the owner and namesake of Bubba's Barbecue tells about the latest in a string of bad luck with the elements in that part of the country.
A tornado came ashore from the ocean side, ripped across the island, went back out into the sound, ripped back across the island, and left a lot of destruction behind.
Bubba Shower says his place looks like it's been hit by a Waring blender. New York Times reports the FBI kept an extensive secret dossier on Pablo Picasso because it considered him a subversive. Tom Martin, ABC News.
Special celebration.
Where should you be this Sunday and Monday? The Veterans Day sale at JCPenney, where you'll find savings throughout the store. You'll save 25% off regular prices on a terrific selection of sweaters for juniors. And every single dress shirt by Stafford is 25% off, too. You'll find savings in every department. This Sunday and Monday only. Don't miss it.
JCPenney, where fashion comes to life.
You know, I get excuses everywhere I go.
For instance?
Oh, we can't finish your kitchen till the stove gets here. Your car won't be ready until Thursday.
Try a Goodyear certified auto service retailer.
For my kitchen?
No, for your car. Auto service with no excuses.
Well, how can they do that?
Great technicians. Goodyear certified auto service retailers have the training and the equipment to fix your car right the first time.
No kidding.
And no excuses. Just look for the sign in the window.
What's it say?
No excuses.
What about my kitchen?
Excuses.
Lassiter, WLS Talk Radio 890.
Welcome back, Fun Seekers. Hour number 3 for a Saturday night, November the 10th, 1990. Lassiter with you at WLS Talk Radio 890. I would be remiss if I didn't comment on several calls we had in the last hour. Don't you guys ever listen to yourselves saying, little things like, well, what do you think if we went through the back door, and hit those Iranians to see what happened, Don't you ever listen to yourselves? Ever? That's why they hate you, man. That's why they absolutely hate you. Despise you. Because you're a bully, you throw your weight around. And you just, say things like, just see what happens, see what shakes out. Never quite dawns on you that these people, fall in love, laugh, have babies, celebrate birthdays, have hopes, dreams, and wishes just like you do. But you think they live in, huts with dirt on the floor. Some of them do. Most of them don't. You seem to think that, you can go buy kids out of the high schools and send them over there and give them some electronic high-tech weapons and smart bombs and invisible airplanes and things like that, and they'll win in no time flat. And then we'll make a democracy and go home. You're in an absolutely no-win situation, and you can't see it. You actually think you're going to win. You actually think you're going to drop a couple of bombs and win and go home. And you think they're not going to mind when you sit around and talk about them like they were inanimate objects. Talk about them like they were ducks or pigs or something. Who cares? Yeah, blow a few of them away. See what shakes out. Here you're sitting in a country that is falling apart. Financially, you can't afford it. Struggling desperately, trying to find some kind of a reason to justify a good old-fashioned bang, bang, bomb, bomb, bomb. Oh, isn't this fun? Let's pass out the medals. War. Saying things like that. You guys are just amazing. Just amazing. Off it is this time, too. Marquette Park. Hello there. Marquette, you're on the air, WLS.
Mr. Lassiter.
Yes, sir.
How are you doing this evening?
Fine, thank you.
Like you're having an interesting evening. I've spoken with you a couple of times about Stephanie Atkinson, do you recall?
Well, sir, I talk to a lot of people. No, I'm afraid I don't.
Okay. Well, we've butted heads a few times. But I've got to say that tonight I've experienced a real metamorphosis of feelings. And I was really moved by a gentleman from Oklahoma who called about an hour ago. And as a Vietnam veteran, he was saying that he had children 16 and 18, and he was really scared. Do you recall?
Yes, sir, I do.
He was scared for them. Well, I have kids about that age, and when I called, I've been waiting about a half an hour. When I called, I told your screener that I was in favor of the draft. And the reason that I am in favor of a draft right now is comparing this with the Vietnam situation. Nobody really hit the streets until it personally affected them. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
When we were eligible to be drafted. And I think there's a general apathy that's going on right now, particularly with, let's say Vietnam veterans. Either their children have joined the Army, so we don't have anything to say about it, or our kids aren't affected because we didn't join and there is no draft. And I think as far as some of this wholesale running around the world, I dare this government to install a draft, and they'll get more resistance than they ever thought about. When I came back from Vietnam, I've forgotten these things, and it's time for me to get in touch with them again. That when I came back, I didn't know why the hell I did that. But I swore up and down if I got anything out of it, it was going to be that my kids don't have to do it again.
Well, the sheer numbers would indicate that if this goes on for any length of time, the Army is spread, the military is spread so thin they would have little choice.
Oh, I'm telling you that I would love it. They would get more resistance. Right now, we're talking about, I've had a change of heart even about Stephanie Atkinson. During Vietnam, the conscientious objection came from the draftee who was pulled in off the street and said, wait a minute, I didn't volunteer for this stuff. But I have to say that there were a lot of us, even during Vietnam, who had our own conscientious objection to it, but we joined, and so we didn't say a damn thing about it. And actually, I think that her standing up when it came time for her to go, I think a lot of folks wanted to stand up during Vietnam, even the folks that had joined. But I think
it's a very courageous thing to do. I mean, both of us might question her greedy, her selfishness, a little bit of greed. I wasn't happy with everything that young woman said, but it was still a very courageous thing to do because it's a hell of a lot of heat. It's a hell of a lot of heat. And if you aren't in the business of being in the public eye, it's not fun, especially when you don't want to be.
I can tell you firsthand that it's not fun. I raised some objections when I was in Vietnam, and there is an awful lot of heat that comes down on you, and eventually only the very, very strong will stand up and take that heat, and the rest of us, and I included, knuckle right under to it. I don't think that I think there is a general apathy going on. I mean, I don't even find the folks that I work with, we don't talk even very much about this. And if we happen to disagree, well, then it's only a mild disagreement. But as compared with 20 years ago, this was a line that was drawn, and you were on one side or you were on the other. And I think that the draft is the difference in that.
It basically is. You say, you talk in terms of a mild disagreement. The reason it's a mild disagreement is because you and your friends don't really have that much of a personal stake in it, which is in essence what you're saying.
It's absolutely what's going on.
But back in the Vietnam era, there were very few people who didn't know someone.
Sure. And either we were personally affected or we had kids that were. And I'm realizing right now that I've got a son 20 who's tucked away in college, and I've got a son 17 who is just about prime beef. And I think that I had forgotten the things that I experienced 20 years ago and said, damn, my kids aren't going to go through this crap.
If we could bring peace and stability to the Middle East, then I'd be in favor of it. But we can't. And so I'm opposed to it.
I can understand that, and it sounds very, very much. I mean, the folks that want to say, oh, don't compare this with Vietnam. Damn, this is the same old story. It's just not affecting us the same way.
It's people in Washington not asking the tough questions like, well, what are we going to do if we win? What happens?
Mm-hmm.
And they're the kinds of questions that we didn't ask in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
There was the only purpose we had in Vietnam was to win. The only purpose we have in the Middle East is to win. Win what? Nobody ever asked. It's a tough one, man.
You've experienced, you've meant a lot to me in the last couple of weeks in changing my mind about this, and I can understand some of the apathy that I'm displaying. I mean, I don't think I'm that much different than Stephanie Atkinson when I think about it. I'm not going to go. I mean, I'm too old to go now, but my kids might.
You got to think about that.
Yeah, no kidding. If my kids were under the roof, I guarantee I would be in the street. And I'm not real pleased with myself that I'm not.
I am astonished that with, at the time, in excess of 200,000, close to 250,000 people sitting and staring down rifle barrels, that it was an absolute non-issue in the last election. A non-issue.
Yep.
No one spoke of it. No one was questioned on it. It isn't real to the American people, I'm afraid. It isn't real.
Well, it doesn't touch us. And I think all of us, and I included, I called in and said, oh, well, Stephanie just, beat feet as soon as it affected her. Oh, well, hell, I'm not out in the street right now because it doesn't personally affect me. I think that is really pulling the quick one. I dare them to install a draft, and I think that we'll have wholesale resistance. Come on, Brad. You don't think so?
Oh, no, I quite agree with you.
Yeah, no kidding.
If anything, you're understaffed. All right. Dan, pardon me. 591-8000, 591-8900. He said, no, we're not going to pardon me. I can't do that. 591-8900. This time it is to Aurora. Hello there, Aurora. You're on there, WLS.
Yes, this is Chris.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to say that, first of all, I don't believe facts in the country. I think they're there they were there at the start for a reason, and now they've changed their plans and kind of turned the card over. But I'd like to say if the draft, if it comes into effect, then, I'm 20 years old, and I went to the military academy, and, I believe that my job in life is to serve my country. So I'll have to back them up in that aspect.
Oh.
But what I'd like, my main point is...
Well, what's serve your country then?
Excuse me?
What's to serve your country then?
Well, serve my country is in their time of need when they're say the people that are already in the service.
Time of need. What danger is your country in?
Oh, the country itself is in no need. I'm talking about the army.
Oh, then you don't want to serve your country. You want to serve the interests of some men.
Some man.
Yeah, some men.
Some men, as in our politicians.
Yeah.
Well, didn't we elect them?
So,
therefore, the country elected them people, and they're there to make decisions for the company.
Oh.
For the country.
No, you're here to make decisions. They work for you. You don't work for them. They work for you. You make the decisions and tell them what those decisions are.
Well,
you don't elect people and then walk away and say, well, they're elected. That's what they want to do.
Well, do you think it would make a difference if 45% against 55% say that they don't want it to happen? I mean, you still got that 55%. What am I going to do when the other three guys say, go ahead and do it?
Well, hey, kid, if that's all your life means to you, go for it, man.
Okay, well, what I like to say is, during college, I did a book report on Nostradamus. I don't know if that means anything to you or not, but his predictions, I've had a follow-up. Most of them became true.
Most of them?
Right.
So something like 300 out of 15,000. If you really stretch the point, you might find something to say, well, I don't know. That 300 out of 15,000 isn't most.
Okay.
Must have been a good school.
Well, what I'd like to say is...
What kind of grade did you get on that report, by the way?
On the report itself, I got a pretty good grade.
Huh.
But I guess it's just more or less for the research. I guess I didn't research it too far in. But he said that, or he predicted something. You can't really take into his predictions because of the fact that the translators on his verse that he wrote, the translator can be wrong. But as far as the translator says in the materials that I've read, they said that in 1995 we'll be in a World War III, and the Antichrist or whatever, and the world's going to end by the end of the year 2000.
The Antichrist and the guy who lived in the Middle Ages and wrote predictions you believe in.
Well, right now, everything that he says will happen in the Middle East about someone that will act and be compared to Hitler. Not saying that I'm comparing him, but other people have, including Bush.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that he will be compared as Hitler. He will try to take over different countries, and a war will break out by 1995, and the world will end in 2000.
Yeah. Do you have any knowledge, even a passing knowledge of history in that part of the world?
Well,
as a matter of fact, do you have any knowledge of history in any part of the world? Because you can say that about literally any place on the face of the globe and be accurate.
Right. Well, see, I heard someone, a journalist, say that he has followed the footsteps of 3 biblical heroes. I don't know if you remember that or heard of it, but I can't really. Hitler was, I'm talking Saddam Hussein, following 3 heroes. Nebuchadnezzar. He is one of his heroes, and 2 other people, I can't remember the names. But in a biblical sense, whenever they decided to take over in that holy land that he is referring to and that he lives in, he's using them as his heroes, and he wants to take over the Holy Land and the Holy War. Now, the book of Revelation in the Bible, states, something pertaining to the Holy War and the end of the world.
7-headed snake and vessels filled with poison.
Right. Well, some people would either panic and get into religion, and hope that they might be saved or whatever. If they're like me, I'm not an